And now it's time for the annual yearly meeting for Debian's Perl packaging group, and we're live.
Okay, thanks for the introduction, and welcome everybody here in the room and the hundreds of people on the stream. For those following along at home, this is not the brainstorming session and not the QA session. It's the annual work meeting of the Debian Perl group. Debian Perl group is a bunch of people who package cpan distributions into Debian packages. And we're doing this yearly meeting since, I believe, 2008, where we take the time to look back at our work during the last year and, discuss things which are relevant for going further. The agenda, the provisional agenda, which I've prepared so far, is in copy under DebConf 21 BOF package Perl. And before we actually start, we should decide who takes notes and where, and who monitors which channels and pads, because I won't be seeing everything when I try to lead the discussion. So are there volunteers for taking notes and for monitoring the channels?
I can keep an eye on IRC.
Okay, cool.
I was just about to say the same.
Yeah, better if it's two people. And anybody taking notes?
Sure, I can do that if there's no other volunteers.
Okay, great. Thanks, Nico.
So, and the Gobio, I guess. So.
Yeah, unless you hate Gobi, but you're already there, so it's probably easiest to continue there.
Sure.
Okay, thank you so far. Now, the next step, let's have a look who is here. Optional as always, but it's nice to put names to faces. So who feels like it might say who they are and maybe their relation to the Perl group. If I start, I haven't introduced myself, which is very unpolite. My name is Grigor Hermann. I'm living in the Austrian part of Europe. I'm a member of the Perl team since 2006, I believe, and work on, all kinds of packages across the whole group. Who's next?
I can go next if you want.
Okay, go ahead.
You go. Okay, sure. So I'm Wouter Verhelst. I've been maintaining some Perl code in Debian for a few years now, and I basically became a member of the Perl group so that when there's something that isn't in Debian yet that my code needs, I can just upload it myself, which I think is a very selfish reason, but also a very valid reason. I've been wanting to get more involved, but that just hasn't happened yet because life is too busy. You know how that works.
Thanks, Wouter. Utkarsh.
All right. Yeah. Hello from India. I'm Utkarsh. I'm 21, and I started to contribute to the Perl team mostly because Gregor was there. I want to work with him. He's been my inspiration, so that's why I started contributing to the Perl team. And I still try to maintain. I say try because the moment I get to them, Gregor has already done the work of updating those modules. So I still try to be active, but lately I haven't been able to spend a lot of time, but I hope and I try to change that. But yeah, I just maintain a couple of modules and I try to update some of them as well.
Thank you. Someone else? Yeah, Paul?
I'm Paul. Very much like Wouter, I just uploaded half a year ago a couple of one package, and I intend to upload more Perl packages in the team namespace. So I thought I join as well.
Yeah, you have a long list to go, so it's
Yeah,
maybe good.
unfortunately, yes.
It's maybe good to get in this in this climate and in this group. Welcome.
Yeah.
Nico?
Hi, I'm Nico Tyni, and I mainly maintain Perl itself, but I do hang around with pkg-perl side as well for quite some time nowadays. Not all that much, but I certainly follow what's going on and all that.
Thanks, Nico.
Yeah,
Tamas?
it's Tamas here. Yeah, I started working in the Debian Perl group in I don't know, some years ago, mostly when involving Modulicious. And then during the recent years, I just didn't do much, but I still want to keep in touch and give the chance that I might have more time in the future. That's all.
Thank you. Etienne?
Yep, I'm Etienne Mollier. I'm mostly a passerby. I come to the regular low-hanging fruit session once per month. Otherwise, I'm mostly active in the Debian Med team.
Yeah, you have been one of the most active participants in the low-hanging fruit sessions during the last year. Nodens? You're still muted.
M is the host. You
Unmuted.
to unmute yourself.
It might also be that there is an issue with Jitsi for you. In some cases, it's required to reload the page, which may be the case right now.
Okay, someone else? Salvatore, Christoph, fellow Chitster, Nick?
Well, I can say a few words. My name is Salvatore. I joined the team, or I think I started contributing to it 2009. It was actually my first contribution in Debian. But then, yeah, actually now I'm not that active at the moment, but still consider myself part of the team, so joined this session.
Thank you. You were still one of the top committers in the team. So, Noden, second try.
You are muted still.
Yeah,
Again.
someone asked
Now
you.
that's it. Awesome.
So I've been a member of the Perl team since a few years, 2015, I guess. And well, as others, I haven't been very active lately. Actually, in Debian general, this past year and a half has been a bit hard and complicated. But well, I hope to get back on the train. So here I am and try to be a bit more involved.
Yeah, I guess we all hope to get back on train. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
So when you asked me, Grigor, so I'm Christoph. I joined the Perl team, I do remember, at the DebConf in Cape Town, so that's 5 years ago. Again, I'm also on the list of haven't been very active lately. Might change a bit. There have been many reasons. Some things that possibly should be discussed in a smaller circle as well. But still, I consider myself part of the Perl team, so that's why I show up to here today.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So, anyone else? Otherwise, we can move on. Okay, last technical question is for those who have taken a look at the agenda, is if it's okay if we follow this agenda for now. There's some immediate changes we need to make.
I'm
No?
okay with that, but I mean, you're in charge.
Yeah, well, if there's something which needs to be discussed, then we should put it on the agenda now instead of running out of time at the end. Good. So the first topic is team status. I have again compiled some statistics. I might share this tab if you want. And if I find it, here it is. So there are basically two kind of statistics. First is Git activity, where, well, a script just checks how many people have made a commit in the last 365 days. If you go down over the years, there have been 55 people, which is about the average. And the second column is the number of persons with more than 100 commits as a, well, trying to measure active or very active people. And these were only 6 people this year, not counting the Debian janitor, which is clearly below average. Yeah, and the second part of the statistics is looking at the reports of the low-hanging fruit sessions, where this year 9 have taken place where some actual work got done, which is not that much, and sometimes the work done was one person working on one package. The average number of participants in the meetings was just above 2. There were 11 unique participants. The average number of sessions of these 11 persons was also just about a bit above 2. So yeah, that's the short overview over the numbers. I guess what we also have heard in the first round, that this was not the most active year, is something we all felt ourselves, and we also all know that there has been and still is this thingy called pandemic. There also has been this other thingy called freeze, which also didn't...
Sorry for that.
No. Thank you for finishing it. So I guess it's not very surprising that the activity level was not very high. Still, the question remains, is there something that needs to be discussed in general? Or also, second question, in relation to the low-hanging fruit meetings. Does anybody have any thoughts on this? Yeah, Nodens?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the problems is that we all said that we were less active than we would have wanted. So maybe we're not the best person to discuss this, but even if I haven't been attending them very well this year, but I still think LHF meetings are useful because they are regular, and it's a good place to point people whenever they want to or need to just package Perl stuff or want to be part of the team. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's okay to continue with them at this freedom and just cancel it if there's no one showing up. But I like to have this, this place in time where I know, oh, well, if I have Perl stuff to do, this is a good time to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Etienne?
not being very active in the on the Perl side, but more on other areas. Having this point in time is important for me because I can say this day in the month I can focus.
Okay, so these were two voices saying, let's continue it this way, it has benefits. Is there someone strongly disagreeing?
Yeah, I was asking or wondering if it might be a good idea to know them a little bit more. I personally didn't know about them until I joined the team. So it might be something that might benefit from larger announcements or something like that.
Do you have anything in mind, where or how to announce it?
Planet Debian, I don't know if that's happened already. Maybe I'm missing that. Mailing lists, I don't know. I've seen the Debian Mate team announce their meetings on Debian Devel. Copy that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we should think about it.
Yeah, maybe not as often, but once a year announcing the meetings that you have may be interesting for new people.
Yeah.
And maybe once a year is a little bit little, but
yeah,
something in between.
I mean, the objective is not to attract new people and then tell them something and help them to get on board, but the objective is more for the existing people to have this fixed point in time where they can do maybe boring, maybe tedious tasks and have some fun together. So it's
it's a different purpose then.
Yeah, but but still sending a mail once a year about how the team works, and this is a place to show up might be a good idea. Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, and I guess we stick with the 21st of the month and with 17 and 19 UTC, or are there any strong wishes to change the rhythm? Nico is smiling because we have this every year.
Yeah, I'm sure we've reached the optimal time schedule now, so
yeah. So
at least we should have by now, I guess.
Yeah. Again, if someone is strongly opposed, then please speak up and we try to find something else. Otherwise, I think just going on would make sense. Good. Next topic is quite simple, report from the sprints. There have been no sprints since the last buff, so the report is very short. There will be, maybe will be 2 Debian events in September in Hamburg and in Regensburg, both in Germany. In general, I don't know, is there something to discuss? Does it make sense to think about a sprint for the next year? Or do you think it's all too unpredictable?
I think it makes sense to have one. Maybe just try and co-host it with a mini DebConf like the one in Regensburg, so that if pandemic situation doesn't allow for it, you don't have to do too much. You don't have to cancel too much. Is what I'm trying to say. I think that might be a good idea.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
Yeah, piggybacking events like that always helps. And another thing that I want to mention is like planning for sprints. Maybe not so much in detail, but just having a bit of an overview as to where we should have and stuff like should help, because like the way things are now, maybe next year we should be able to have in-person events. So just to have an idea where things should be, I guess, should help.
So I think it's easier to cancel because of whatever than to coordinate on short term. So let's say, let's plan for some, and if things go really bad, well, too bad.
So traditionally we had sprints in, well, second quarter of the year, so May plus minus. Is this something we could think about?
Yeah, like last 2 years back, we decided to have somewhere in April, May in Finland, right? If I'm not wrong, or somewhere there. So I guess that time we did a poll as well, and the results were, I think, same as far as I remember.
Yeah, thanks
so
for the history.
Yeah, I think that kind of works for everybody. But in case anybody needs it, I can arrange for a poll again, and maybe you can decide on the mailing list as well.
Okay, so if we say April, May something, then we should make a decision in like December, January, and see where we're going. Okay, good.
There is one comment on IRC back on the low-hanging fruit section, and that is if we should or would consider having like live discussion on Jitsi. That is something which was discussed like a year or two ago, when we have with these BOFs and like DebConf this way or something like that.
Yeah. Does anybody remember why we did not use Jitsi in the end?
So it was decided that once people are there, we can talk about having a Jitsi call, but like not a lot of people showed up, and those who showed up were comfortable using IRC. So we did not decide to go for Jitsi. But in case like anybody shows up and asks to hang out in Jitsi, I think that shouldn't be a problem, I guess.
Yeah, totally. So I think it's something to keep in mind, and when we meet the next time, when we meet on IRC, we can say, hey, is anybody interested in seeing and hearing each other? And then either we start the Jitsi call or not. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Maybe make it part of the topic or something, so you don't have to keep announcing it.
Yeah, true. Okay, next big topic, and this one is for Nico. The status and future of Perl 534.
Right. So 534 is, well, it has been out since May upstream, May or so, and we have a version in experimental. It's a release candidate, but it was the final one, so there were no changes as I recall. And now that the freeze is over and we've released, so I do plan to work on that and get push for the transition. We did test rebuilds with a release candidate back in, I guess, May, and there were really few regressions because, well, upstream has there's lower number of changes than usual for a major Perl upstream version, which is probably mostly because of the Perl 7 discussions that went on during that release cycle. But anyway, that means that 534 should be an easy transition, and I hope to get that done in a few, I guess, couple of months or something. It's up to the release team, of course.
Can I ask a question? I've seen that the team has quite some infrastructure to do these kind of preparation of a new release and build everything that that needs rebuilding. As part of the CI team, could we actually maybe also do all the auto package testing on those rebuilt tests? We've been working for Google Summer of Code to actually support testing of the security archive, and I think probably maybe not 100%, but we're nearly there. So we could also test out of Debian archives for auto package tests. So I think we could integrate the pre-built service with the CI service that we have on ci.debian.net.
Yeah, that would be very nice. Are you thinking about auto package tests mostly, I guess, rather than rebuild testing?
No, well, if I currently look at the pseudo excuses for the experimental packages, there's quite some regressions, and I haven't looked at that. But the previous time that I looked, that's mostly because packages aren't rebuilt yet in the experimental archive.
Yeah,
so
we haven't been doing that at all. We have a private archive for those rebuilt packages currently.
So that's why the experimental archive isn't so useful to get a view of what's going on. But if you have the rebuild service already in place anyway, we could just schedule everything as well.
Yeah.
I think we should just see what needs to happen to do that. And I think it's fairly limited because I think we're nearly there on our side.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let's talk about that later.
Yeah, sounds like an excellent idea. So, Nico, do you need any help? Do you need us to do something?
Not presently, I guess. I think I'll probably get 5.34.0 proper into experimental like this weekend or something like that. And after that, well, I don't know, because the rebuild testing, there's some manual work there, but nothing that would scale very well to other people. So I guess just fix any bugs that I find, but probably not going to be many, if any.
Yeah. So the preliminary list is in this other copy doc where I copied the URL already. I think there are only, I don't know, a handful left, and they are not maintained by us. So our packages are already fixed.
Sure.
As far as I know. Good. And you keep us in the loop and you shout when we should NMU packages or whatever.
Sure. I'm thinking of if there's going to be any packaging changes, but not much. Some reproducibility things, and possibly I'll probably need a few more dual-life separate packages because of for the benefit of the user merge package, which would.
Oh yeah, right.
It would be nice if it didn't have to depend on the whole of Perl for some CH roots or something. But nothing major. Should be just small things.
Good. Thanks.
No problem.
So the next one is a short discussion point. I hope it's short. On Debian DWell, there was this discussion started by Paps, Paul Weiss, about moving from upstream tarballs to upstream Git repositories as the source for packaging stuff, and he mentions all kinds of languages and also Perl and CPAN. I think no one from us has so far commented on it. I also was a bit too lazy and too much in vacation mode in the last weeks. But I guess we should say something, at least if we want to, if we have an opinion, if we want to make it heard. Now, I don't know if anyone has read the thread or if anyone has any opinions or thoughts already.
No strong feelings.
None?
Sorry, I was mute. Yeah, well, the thread is the usual. I mean, this is a usual problem for stuff like Golang and Python. I think it's a bit less of a problem with Perl because pretty much every distribution uses CPAN standards. So we don't quite have exactly this issue. On the other hand, it would be interesting to make sure our tooling is able to handle both properly using, upstream tarballs or upstream VCS whenever it's convenient. I mean, I never had an issue with a Perl module where I actually wanted to say, oh, it would be nice if I could just have the upstream Git and do that. But it happened to me. Well, I mean, that's how we work in the Go team, for instance. We mainly use upstream Git. So yeah, but I guess it's normal that we have this discussion. But I don't think in the Perl team it's really a concern for us. But still, it would be nice if our tooling could handle using the VCS instead of Tarball.
Yeah. So my impression is also that it doesn't solve anything for Perl, and that, well, like Debian, where the canonical source is the archive, the canonical source for Perl distribution is the cpan, which contains tarballs, and it's totally optional to use a VCS and which VCS. And the other thing is, I think our tooling is not very. Our tooling is actually focused on those tarballs, which contains the meta-YAML and meta-JSON file, for example, which typically don't exist in a repository. And we would basically have to do a fake release before. So yeah, I mean,
yeah. On the other hand, it's kind of the direction everything is going in a lot of ecosystems. So I would not be surprised if people started to want doing Perl stuff that way. I mean, using mainly the VCS and not tarballs. But well, I mean, it's I don't think we have to do it like this year and make sure we can do that. But it's I think it's a possibility that things could go that way even for Perl.
Wouter, you were shaking your head. You're still muted. Welcome to Jitsi. So, is Wouter coming back, or should we? Ah, yeah. Here he is again.
Sorry, does this work?
Yeah, works.
Okay. I wasn't interrupting anyone? Sorry. So yeah, I was basically saying I just read the mail, and I think it's more of a solution in search of a problem as far as Perl is concerned, and I don't think we should go for that. That's basically what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that sounds very much like my feeling. Okay, I guess I will write a short reply, not as an official statement of the Perl group, but if but I wanted to check back what your feelings are, and yeah, so that was helpful. Thank you. Okay, and then we have some issues for some topics for the last 9 minutes. As always, we're running out of time. These topics are collected from the buffs at DebConf 19 and 20, where we were running out of time. So maybe we managed to look at 1 or 2 of them now. I think for the first 2, time has helped because I don't see a lot to discuss there. So one is this adding not no-check annotation to build dependencies so that the build dependencies are not installed when this no-check deb option is set in the environment. In 2019, we said, yeah, let's look at it, let's try it, let's work on pkg-perl and then discuss it again in 2020, which didn't happen. So it's implemented in pkg-perl and maybe also in other tools, but yes, tools use it, people use it, packages use it, it's working. I don't remember any problems. So I think what's missing is to add a sentence to our group policy. What do you people think about this?
Yes, please. I mean, it's clearly useful, and I can't see why we wouldn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is anybody volunteering to write the draft for the sentence for policy. Paul? Ah.
You are muted, Paul.
The muted Paul waves his hands.
Sorry, I had the mechanical mute, and I'll volunteer. I guess I done quite some writing the last times for all kind of notes. I can add a sentence.
That's excellent. Thank you. Okay, the next one is basically the same. This rules requires root no thingy. We wanted to discuss it in 2019, didn't. We wanted to discuss in 2020 and did it. In practice, tools use it, packages use it, people use it, and I don't remember seeing any issues so far. So I would also propose to write a sentence into our group policy that our packages set this R3 field.
Well, not opposing, just extending. About that particular R3, I think perhaps we should push somehow the deb helper maintainers to make this the default, since the current default is, in my opinion, the wrong way. It should be on by default, and the few packages who do really break building should have to set it explicitly. That's a bigger move, but it should happen anyway, because yeah, I'd really prefer to see less fields in Debian control and not getting there more and more again over time. I mean, but that's a bigger change that should be discussed in Devil, not just in the vote here.
Yeah, I was just saying that there's a Lynching check to always say that, hey, you've forgotten require root, something like that, to know. So by default, it suggests like the Lynching tag. So might as well be implemented in developer to make it as a default.
Yeah, I think Christoph's point is a good one. The amount of boilerplate we have to add to packages keeps growing and growing. But well,
as I said, it's not an objection; it's an extension.
Yeah, right. So I guess we should do both, or someone, trademark should do both. So as long as it's basically required, expected, or whatever, we should set it as we do it now for many packages. But if someone wants to start a discussion about changing the default, I think that would be a good idea as well.
Well, the letter requires a lot of time and the courage to enter Debian Devil discussions.
Yeah. So, so yeah, my proposal would be that we still add this sentence to our group policy now, and if someone has the energy and impulse to start this discussion with a broader audience, I think I would morally support it, but it shouldn't stop us as a group now. Is this a fair enough summary?
Do Perl packages ever need to build with root?
I haven't seen one in the last 2 years when I've added this. I haven't seen any problems with setting it. I mean, there might be some very weird corner cases, but
I have seen one occurrence of rules require root set to something else than no, and it wasn't in Perl.
It's usually something where you need like specific permission bits, like I don't know, set user ID or something, but that doesn't even work on interpreted languages, so I don't think you'll ever need it for Perl.
Yeah. Paul, do you think you could add another sentence to our policy? That's excellent. Thank you very much. Good. We're again running out of time. So I guess we will either pick one of the remaining topics.
Really should put the old topics in first for the next time, the forgotten ones.
We should put what?
But, well, last time we said, oh, okay, well, those topics that we did not have time to talk about, we need to put them first. But of course, we forgot again this time.
Yeah, true.
So there are the eternal lasts. I mean, Deb 14 or they get they are always the last.
Yeah. So for Deb 14, maybe just a private remark. So I've seen that some people have changed from master to main or to Debian unstable or to whatever Deb 14 proposes currently. This does break tools. I mean, so far I've only seen this silly committerstat script broken, which I fixed, no big deal. And MR sometimes fails and you have to manually update the package, which is all the repository, which is also no big deal. But I would prefer if people discuss changes in the setup of packages, repositories, and tools before doing it for some specific packages, because it might have effects on others. So that's no big deal, just an example that discussing things beforehand is often helpful. And I would also like to remind people to use dpt salsa push repo, because then I don't have to fix up the configuration of the project on Salsa afterwards, which I'm also doing. So please use your tools, and when you want to improve them or change